I hate to break the fishing news up, your Chuck, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down, your Chuck.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Welcome to the episode. Wow, that was the worst intro. Holy shit. Oh, man. I wanted to say welcome to the Real Life Podcast. This is episode 227. And I said welcome to the This Is. Anyways, for those of you listening, this is actually our third attempt at starting the podcast. It's taken us about 10 minutes just to get the first minute or so of it down because we keep fucking up.
Everything we've deleted is infinitely more interesting than all the interesting things we're about to say.
Yeah.
But we're all brushing up against real life. Do you want to talk about that? With my friends? Yes. In real life? On the show called Real Life? No.
Yeah. It's
I legit, I'd laugh more in the outtakes than I have in the old show.
There's times, Chalmers, of late where like Bagmouth's got some stuff he wants to talk about analytics and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I have never listened to a podcast. Never. If I hear myself on Instagram with one of the clips your M-Chuck's so good about putting up pops up, I scroll quickly past, right?
Yeah.
And then he'll be like, oh, did you know that 30 million minutes of the show have been streamed in the last 12 months between the two podcasts? And I'm thinking back to myself, I'm like, have I said anything that I immediately regret? And I'm like, no, I haven't. But I won't allow myself, if shit is sideways, I gotta say, stop and clean it up.
Ignorance is bliss.
Man, you can get canceled 20 fucking years from now for something you say in the next 2 minutes.
interesting.
Truly.
Yeah.
No pressure. Right?
I do my best to never say anything offensive, but like from the perspective of like fucking up, I've just learned over my rather short career that it is infinitely funnier to just own the fact that you fuck up than it is to like get defensive and be like, "Whoa, I never said that." Well, that's not what you heard it wrong. Like it is way better than just to dig into like when you screw something up, like I did with the intro.
There are topics though in my mind, like being disrespectful to somebody. I would never want people to listen to this show and be like, "Oh man, why are you so disrespectful to that person they were talking to or something?" That's something I don't want to do, right? I don't want to talk about certain subjects, right? And we jokingly, we started a show and then we veered very quickly into a subject we don't want to talk about on air. And we're like, fuck, we have to scrap this. I don't know, man. I don't know. We live in a weird world now where you're going to be constantly judged by everything you've ever said online forever. And you're not allowed to be dumb as a kid and grow up or be dumb as a man like we are and then change your point of view. You got to be super careful.
Yeah, 100%. This podcast is brought to you by Oodle Noodle as we get to the ad read. 14 locations in Edmonton, soon to be number 15, starting out in Fort Saskatchewan. I know that's correct because on recording number 2 of this week's episode, I double-checked that fact. So I know there's a new one coming to Fort Saskatchewan. As always, I should let you know 10% of all in-store proceeds at Oodle Noodle go towards a local charity. It's good for your stomach. It's good for those around you. Support Oodle Noodle, and they support the community. This one, are we still rocking with the Princess charity?
So they were up until the end of October. So we had a really good run with them. And because of all the content discussion around them, a local home builder, Chalmers Earmuffs, Timber House Developments came in and provided $1,500 towards our donation to them. So
wow,
isn't that great?
Nice.
Yeah, that's super cool. So
really cool.
Yeah, so that was great. So that's just the power of kind of storytelling and helping people get their name out there and seeing what kind of good we can create. So that's cool. And so this week we shot the video last week. Our boy Josh Park is editing as we speak. There was a strict mandate of a no swearing policy in the video, and I said damn it a couple times. We're going to try to see if we can skirt that past the censors.
That's not a swear.
Well, it's up for debate.
Yeah, that's one of those up for debate ones. I think the context of it as well is would make it more interesting. Speaking of having a good month of October, before we get into some of the other topics we want to touch on today, the Real Life Podcast, our month of October. And this is just me looking at the numbers as I do at the end of every month. This was, without a doubt, one of our best months ever. Granted, we're recording 2 episodes a month now, but like even considering that, we're crushing it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks to everyone.
What does that mean? Talk to me in real numbers.
I'm pulling up the rest because like for this year we had in the last 4 months, this past month crushed everything else by like almost a third more, so like 30% more. And just going back through the rest of the year, like we rarely have. There's one milestone that I like for our podcast, and we hit it. I'd say about 30% of the time. This past month, we hit it pretty much every episode, which is great. So
what's that milestone?
I'll break it down if you want. We have 13 listeners. You add 30% to that. We are now 17 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
Yeah.
And this is why I couldn't talk about my dark sexual fetishes in an earlier start of the podcast.
Exactly.
That would be why Inverno76 says this is a 5-star podcast, almost 6-star worthy. It's a few buddies sitting around talking about nothing. An Oilers-centric version of Seinfeld. I'd love it if there wasn't 2 months. I'd love it more if I wasn't 2 months behind on Big Brother, which I assume we'll discuss today.
Yeah, we are going to talk Big Brother Day. But yeah, I haven't, because like there's 2 different streams where we get our numbers. There's one where it's like hard downloads from the episode combined with Spotify, and another one where it's Apple. Without even adding in Apple, we've already crushed every other month so far this year. So great job, guys. Shout out to everyone who would be a new listener then, because I'm assuming there's a few of them if we're getting this many downloads. So if you're a new...
Jay's math.
Shout out to you, Remchuk. I didn't learn a goddamn thing about what I asked, so that's fantastic.
I don't want to use the hard numbers on the podcast.
Like trying to put an oyster into a slot machine.
Yeah, don't say hard numbers.
Pushing.
I broke it down.
So if you're one of the
imaginations run wild.
Yeah, if you're one of the 4 new listeners of the podcast, leave us a review. And I think you're a good sort of like focus group to be like, what do you like about the podcast now that you're 4 episodes in? What do you dislike about the podcast now that you're 4 episodes in? You know, stuff like that.
I don't know if I like this, Chalmers. I feel like we're TLC and these guys are our record label. And we're like, hey, is anybody listening to No Scrubs? And they're like, oh, you guys are doing all right, I guess. Maybe we're killing it, Chalmers. We have no idea. Remchuk's keeping it all to himself.
I do share the numbers with you guys every month. I'd like to point that out. All right. Well, we got that out of the way. Was that our only
thank you, everybody, though. Like, honestly, thank you for listening. It's not easy. I wouldn't listen to this. I'd say this is a hot mess. There's too many people talking. Why does that one guy swear so much?
We got one of those reviews on Oilers Nation Radio where someone's like, don't swear so much. It ruins your credibility. And so maybe that's something to keep in mind. But Beg Milk, do we have any other new reviews?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Are we going to share them now?
Wow, you're very Remchuk with safeguarding those.
Dude Man 94 says 5-star review. This is my first time commenting. You guys talking about laying with a baby on your chest, it brought tears to my eyes. I have 2 boys myself, and you'll remember those times forever. Congratulations, Wanya.
Whoa.
Josh 0004 says this is a 5-star review. Can we get 3 or 4 episodes per week? Great stuff.
Hell no.
Well,
Chalmers can barely make
3
one.
or 4 fucking podcasts, a presidential term.
Yeah, I know. That's why. And hey, I'm back though. My work has slowed down a bunch because we turned over a few things, and we are looking good for more Chalmers this winter.
Very good. If you want 4 episodes a week, I will say we do 2 real lives. There is Oilers Nation Radio, which is good content as well. And we're talking about maybe doing like a live show every week that might be like a combo of the 2 podcasts, and we'd stream it on like Twitch or something like that. So if you're looking for more content, there could be more podcast content coming shortly.
I've been thinking too. Sorry, Bagwell, go ahead.
Huntress0509 says, listening to this podcast is always the best time. I never miss an episode. Keep it up, gents. That is a 5-star review.
Wow.
Thank you.
Were there any non-5-star reviews? Like, is there some, I feel like our egos might get too big here. We might need to just crank it right down.
I am now into 2019, and these are all 5 stars, gentlemen.
Damn.
We are very talented at what we do.
Well, if you have
how many people have reviewed us?
In total, we have 131 reviews, average of 4.85.
See, and that's why I'm surprised we're 97th. Like, find me 96 of the other podcasts who consistently get that good of reviews, you know?
You know who else is 97?
Connor McDavid.
Motherfucking Connor McDavid, that's who.
Well,
Yeah.
if you were looking for the last 1-star review, came from Ahad. That was in December, and he said, "I'm only giving you 1 star because Tyler didn't get engaged in LA."
That's fair.
That is fair.
No,
I'll take
I
the heat for
support
that.
that 1-star review. That was probably me.
Can I also just say that getting the compliment of it's like an Oilers-centric Seinfeld, that's the best compliment I think I've ever received for anything I've ever done.
Well, then you'll love this one from Gretzmas, which was a 1-star review. Not much Oilers talk. They all get distracted very easily, and side conversations start immediately. I'd rather listen to David Staples.
Oh,
shit.
How dare you, sir? Nobody
that.
listens to David Staples.
That is
Not even
a lie.
David Staples.
I have watched that podcast on video. It is painful. Ugh. I am offended.
You asked. That was the last 2 1-star reviews.
And this podcast, unlike David Staples, supports Photo Radar.
Oh, does he not support Photo
No, I'm
Radar?
kidding. That's just a joke. Yeah, David Staples is
I
very
support
anti.
Photo Radar by paying all my tickets and paying somebody's fucking yearly paycheck. That's for sure.
I got one on my birthday, and I forgot to pay it. I need to get around to that ASAP here because I don't want to get like a late fee or something.
The last one I got was on Fox Drive, and I still don't think that the speed limit on Fox Drive is high enough. I protest for no reason other than I'd like to speed on Fox Drive. Allegedly.
Yeah, they could beef it up. 70, it's 70 though. I was on Fox Drive today.
Yeah, I mean, we can bump that up to 80.
Yeah, you could.
A guy I know from school went as a Photo Radar truck for Halloween. It was a great costume. He was wearing he dressed up in like the whatever fluorescent yellow. He had the flag sticking out of his back. He had a camera. It was great. I think his girlfriend went as a cash cow, so it was like the whole costume was funny.
Oh, that's gay.
Oh, that's well thought out.
Yeah. Speaking of Halloween, that was this past weekend.
Transition.
If you didn't notice, a great transition. Going from Staples to whatever I just said. What's it called? Photo Radar.
Transition? Mazel tov.
All right. Halloween weekend. It was a quiet one. I didn't do much, but me and Jay dressed up as the same thing. Jay, I saw you were a lumberjack, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was also a lumberjack.
And you were?
A lumberjack.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I'm so embarrassed.
But I went. So were you just a normal lumberjack?
Whoa.
I heard
How
that you went.
How many flavors of lumberjack are there?
Well, I went.
You went as your Remchuck for Halloween, knowing
did.
he was a lumberjack.
Well, if you can tell, I'm not smiling in the full. I've got a scowl. Your Remchuck has scowl.
I was just say, if you went as a regular lumberjack, I made a point to go as a sexy lumberjack. So,
fuck.
Yeah, that
Sexy lumberjack. What did you do?
Jeans where I was wearing your Remchuck?
What, did you hang your rope? How'd you play the sexy angle? Sleeveless? What were you doing?
Yeah, assless denim.
You cut those jeans off above the pocket?
Yeah, were you Daisy Dukes?
No, the joke is just that me dressed as a lumberjack is inherently a sexy lumberjack. Get it?
Oh,
done better.
we didn't get that. That didn't get.
All right.
You
Well,
could have done better.
anyways, Chalmers, this I wanted to bring this up with you because
You
you
should
have
have told
young.
us you were going as a lying lumberjack.
Oh, snap.
Are you guys all drunk? What is going on right now?
Well, I'm processing the fact that I dressed up the same as your Remchuck. Either
That's
I should be pumped.
Talk over each other.
You know what I'm into, Chalmers. Wink.
What do you want to know about Halloween, your Chuck?
I can't stop laughing. It's like the first thing you fucking said the entire podcast. You just go, "Are you guys drunk?"
The only thing we don't need is 5 people talking at once.
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of people here.
You have
We
young.
gotta get back in
You have
studio.
young kids.
Got to get back in studio.
Yeah, I actually got a Snapchat memory. It was like around a year ago today. We like sort of started transitioning into our new studio. Anyways,
Well, soon we're transitioning into our new studio.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on with that.
Well, we're gonna be down the block.
Oh,
We're gonna be in like a Lux studio, bro.
this sounds interesting.
Yeah, on the second floor, reachable by elevator.
Oof.
That's like working at CBS.
What's ETA for that?
Oh, I don't know. What president do you want me to pick?
I don't know.
+1, +2, 5 years? No, probably January, February.
Well, that'll be fun.
Oh yeah,
Anyways,
When was the original completion date supposed to be?
July.
Of 2020?
Yeah, but thankfully we've been able. Like we wanted to go late. we want to be able to push through. Like there ain't nobody right now that's missing out by not operating hospitality businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're happy to delay.
Anyways, Chalmers, you have, I was talking about Halloween. You have 2 young kids. What was sort of the Halloween experience like for you? Like, did you go out trick-or-treating with your young kids?
We did, and obviously it wasn't going to be the same. I spent the morning making a shoot so we could hand out candy. The things that I was going into Halloween wondering were, A, how many kids we were going to get. It's hard enough to budget how much candy you're going to buy. But in a year like this, with a person that's addicted to eating like myself, I didn't need extra candy left over. So I really wanted to be, have a good indication of how much I should buy. So I was worried about how many kids we were going to have, and in our neighborhood, basically, how many people were going to actually hand out candy. What I noticed was, and we did go out. We actually we have neighbors that are very close to us, and their kids just all happen to be in the same class. So we're somewhat in a cohort to begin with. So we're lucky that way. We were lucky to be able to go out in a big group and do some trick or treating. What I noticed was, I would say that about 30% of the houses in our neighborhood were giving out candy and had decorations up. And the 30% that did, I think because they knew it was going to be different, they went above and beyond. I noticed a lot more decorations on the houses that were decorated. And then the candy they were giving out, and I think it might have been a byproduct of they bought way too much thinking it was going to be a normal year as well. And so they were giving out more. They were giving out more. Where to, like, my kids went to probably, I'd say, a third of the houses they normally do and had the same amount of candy as they normally do. People were just, handing it out. The kids all wore masks. Most people had were either leaving bowls out, sitting at a table on their driveway having a fire with a bowl, on a table at the front of the driveway so you could help yourself. And it went pretty well. I mean, the kids had a good experience. But there was a lot less people out. It was weird, but there was more interaction outside, if that makes sense. I've spent Halloween in the United States like 3 or 4 years in a row. And because it's a nicer climate around this time, they do a lot more outside. Everybody's outside, where you'll walk into a cul-de-sac, and instead of everybody being in their house, they'll be all in the middle of the cul-de-sac. They'll have like a U of tables, and you'll just walk up, and they're all drinking and having a good time outside. I noticed a lot more of that. And it was, for the most part, that's what I loved about Halloween. But it was just like, there wasn't as much of it here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Any interesting other candy disposal methods or handing out?
The trough system was very, I can go around my neighborhood right now and tell you who in my neighborhood is a little bit handy and who has really no idea how to make anything on basically how their trough was designed. Because way too many people didn't get enough grade on their trough and therefore had to fire the candy down with the hopes it was actually going to make it all the way.
Yeah, think about your rise over runner. That thing's going to
you got to deploy gravity.
an hour.
It's the engineering portion of it. I mean, if you don't know that, how the hell are these kids going to get their candy? My favorite one was the person who used a piece of ease trough for bags of chips and basically just
clogged her up.
Couldn't use it. I'm not too sure what they were thinking. But then there was a couple that were just really clever, had a couple bends in them and were really high stairwells. So they were really long and the kids got a huge kick out of it. But yeah, so it was pretty interesting to see some of the ways. And then there was, the person that was handing them out with a 1 foot pair of tongs. And you're just kind of might as well use your hand at this point. I mean, all that candy, you put it in the bowl. You've had it in your possession. Not too sure what the tongs are for. They're not 6 foot tongs, but we kind of struggled with me and my wife just thinking when we do get all the candy home, are we just allowed to dump it out and do like the kids normally do and just organize it? Or, I make my own hand sanitizer with 99% isopropyl alcohol. Do I just spray it all down and leave it?
Hold on. What?
I want to hear more about the homemade hand sanitizer.
So when we do a lot of stonework and brickwork, we use isopropyl alcohol, absolutely 99.9% isopropyl alcohol, the real deal Holyfield shit. And when we use it, we have lots left over. We don't, and so we buy like U.S. gallons of it. And so when there was kind of a hand sanitizer shortage, I bought some aloe. Like really, all hand sanitizer is either ethanol or isopropyl alcohol at least 60 to 70%, and then aloe vera so it doesn't dry out your skin, because that stuff, when it dries hard, takes the moisture out of your skin. And then, some sort of tea tree oil or some sort of other oil to give it a better smell than what the other two combine it. So I bought, aloe vera wasn't exactly a hot commodity at the time, so I bought a big, like, U.S. gallon of it, considering I'd only use 30% of that for every batch.
Man, you're a good dad. Shit. You're out here making your own hand sanitizer.
So I bought 1 gallon, and 3 showed up. Wow. And I didn't pay for 3.
Score.
And I'm not going to send it back to Missouri. So now I have hand sanitizer for days. So I make it, and I use it, and I bought these little spray bottles from, on Amazon, and this stuff is the best. So the best part about it is I can spray it on anything, and it dries very fast, and it doesn't leave a film. And so we sprayed our candy down. I'm not going to lie. We kind of just laid it out, sprayed it all. When the stuff dries, it kills the bacteria because it dries out the cells, and that's kind of, then we let the kids have a little bit after a couple hours.
Wow.
Is that what hand sanitizer does? It dries out the cells of
that is what it is designed to do. When you put hand sanitizer on your hands, it doesn't just kill them. It kills them later on in the process of the drying. It dries out the cell and almost turns it to like dust. If that makes sense. Gotcha. It's almost like black mold. If you have black mold and you spray something on it, it's not like it's killing it on contact. It's killing it in the drying of it out. The cells become so dry that they can't keep their shape anymore and their life, so they die.
Wow, that was a nice little science.
That was great.
Science corner, I guess. It's informative, the Real Life podcast.
Yeah. So the other thing we did this year was, I was pretty embarrassed. I've always wanted to be the house with full-size chocolate bars. Obviously, you want to be that.
It's a high measure of wealth. There's nowhere to go but down once you reach that.
But wasn't it the perfect year to do it when you knew you'd be getting like a half of the kids you normally do?
Yeah.
So, you're not buying, like, usually we're buying like these little packs of like gummies or something, and you're giving out like 3 or 4. It's basically the equivalent of a full-size chocolate bar. But, want to be one of the neighbors, one of the houses in the neighborhood.
It's a slippery slope, though, Chalmers, because if you do it this year, then you're setting expectations.
You can never stop. Yeah.
Word gets around, so expect you might buy 30 chocolate bars this year, but you better have 300 ready next year.
You better be ready to, Chalmers. Like, that's going to be a commitment. You get momentum.
You can't go back to a fistful of candy corn from there, buddy.
Kids get on their TikToks, and next thing you know, you got 500 kids out front.
It goes viral, man. It goes viral.
We bought 6 boxes of 18 chocolate bars, which makes it 108 chocolate bars, and we have 2 full boxes left over. You know how hard that's going to be for me not to eat them? Like,
very.
Yeah.
What is your rationing? What is your thought process in terms of rationing those leftover bars?
My thought process is, well, I tried to give them away to my neighbors after we had trick or treated. I tried to sneak them in their kids' bags. But I don't know. I'm kind of worried about it because also my kids got a lot of good candy, and like I'm trying to turn the corner now that I have a little bit extra time on my hands to get back to a physically fit shape that's not embarrassing at best.
Save it for the dark winter ahead.
Can you freeze chocolate bars and they stay good, and then you still?
Oh yeah,
you gotta freeze them.
In Australia, they keep their chocolate bars like in a freezer,
so it doesn't melt.
No, but they also enjoy it. If you ever have so it's part of their part of the chocolate bar.
I have a question.
Nightmare.
What type of chocolate bars?
We bought of the 6, we bought 2 boxes of each. So there was 1 box that had like Twix, Coffee Crisp, M&M's.
Yeah, you gotta throw those in the freezer, pal.
The Wonder Bars, the Mr. Big.
Oh, I love Wonder Bar.
Frozen Wonder Bar, you're living life.
Frozen Wonder Bar, you're living a great life.
Yeah.
Frozen Reese peanut butter cups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have those. The ones with Snickers, Mars, we had those. Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's just gonna crush my teeth though and break them.
Yeah. Well, if there's any dentists out there listening, Chalmers is coming to see you.
Well, apparently there must be. Remchuk's keeping all the statistics to himself. Jay, I'd like to commandeer the conversation for a second and bitch like everybody else in pandemic about shit I wish we were doing. You know what I wish we were doing right
now? Going to Iceland?
Yeah, going to Airwaves. That would be amazing.
What's that?
Our favorite thing ever, going to Iceland for a hipster music festival.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did we go again since the election year?
No, that was the last time.
That's so crazy, man. Every time we go to Iceland, we end our trip with like a montage moment where we go, Iceland forever, and jump in the air and say we'll come back. And we were there for the Trump election, and everybody that was an American was losing their marbles. And we were like, oh, well, see you next year. And then we haven't been back since.
My favorite thing about Airways and when you guys get back is the piece of fashion that JR picked up while he was there.
Yeah.
One year it was big wool socks over your pants up to about mid calf.
Good luck.
The next year it was blankets that are also scarves around your neck.
Yeah, very Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah. I wonder what it was going to be this year.
Hey, I feel like that was a Swedish one though.
No, it was all Iceland.
If you stand in a crowd, sorry, Jay, to interrupt. I'll quick. If you stand in a crowd of these people, Chalmers, and you realize how far ahead of us they are in fashion in every which way, you're happy to grab your piece and bring it home.
Yeah, but they also are way further ahead in knowing how to live in the north. Yeah. That we don't quite subscribe to yet, but we're getting better. And I bet you this winter is going to be transformational for us as we adopt the outdoors more and more. But you gotta layer up and you gotta look good doing it. So
okay, at the risk of me yelling at you because I don't agree about this, like we did with parking, explain to me how they're ahead in fashion because they tuck their pants into their
man,
up to their calf.
You go there.
The
enemy is
how that
Chalmers
living in the
enemy. The enemy to freezing your body is letting a draft in. So you have to run a tight seal. You have to tuck your pants into your socks. So that way air can't get in there and your ankles don't get a chill. Just like how you either have to wear a onesie or have a long enough shirt to tuck in your pants so it doesn't come out so you can get a cold air draft to your back. That's all damaging stuff.
I've never once heard somebody say, man, you know what? My ankles are freezing right now.
Oh, man. I've seen so many fashion-forward things there, Chalmers. Like, I don't pay attention to that type of shit. I'm like, there are people here living in the year 3000. Tiny little Matrix glasses and shit 3 years ago. That's the first time I ever saw anyone wear short pants was there. I couldn't believe it.
Like Dwayne Wayne?
Dwayne
Those
Wayne?
kind of glasses?
Who's
like,
Dwayne Wayne?
No, like...
Remember difference? Was it no?
The ones that flipped up? No,
Yeah.
like what's the lady's name in the Matrix?
Sound to me like they're 40 years behind.
Who smooched Neo? Trinity.
Yep.
Trinity type glasses.
Trinity's so hot.
Anyways, I wish we were there. There's nothing even there. I don't think they're doing a virtual one, Jay.
Yeah, they did.
Are they?
Yeah, they did.
Isn't it coming up?
I can't remember if it's already happened or if it's coming up.
So there's a playlist.
November 4th it kicks off.
So they're still doing something?
Yeah, just give me a minute.
It reminds me of what
keep vamping while I look it up.
What Eurovision would be like. Have you ever
it's not like that at all.
I'll tell you, I've had some amazing, authentic, crazy experiences at that festival. Integrating with...
Isn't every experience authentic in that you experienced it?
Yeah, but okay, sure, I guess. But at the same time, no, because sorry, maybe authentic's the wrong word. Something just kind of organically happened, one time specifically, where in Iceland they've got this one band. They're like an electro dance group called FM Belfast. Oh yeah, and these guys, this group brings the heat in the terms of look them up. Energy. It doesn't even matter if you've heard their music before. You'll be at the show, and within 3 or 4 songs, you're jumping up and down, sweating buckets, and going crazy. Yeah. Well, we're at this concert, and we got in early, so we got really close front stage. And I kept bumping into these guys, this big group, and their locals kept bumping into me. And I was like, what the hell? I'm like, guys, this is my favorite band. Let me have this. They're like, this is our favorite band. Why don't you join us? I was like, okay. So then I started I joined their dance circle. And next thing you know, we ended the show. We're all shirtless, sweating on each other. It was unbelievable.
Chalmers, how can you miss out on these homoerotic times?
It was a polite mosh pit, it sounds like. Way ahead of the time.
Yes, we all had scarves, shirtless, pants tucked into our socks.
They danced in a circle.
We had a box of beer.
Must have been so
we danced around our box of beer. It was great.
I saw
what they're doing. What they're doing this year is everything is streaming online, and they're doing a 2-day festival, and you can buy passes just like normal. The interesting thing that I can tell here as I'm reading the website is that they have different kickoffs because everything is online this year. They've got different kickoff times depending where you are in the world.
Interesting.
So for the West Coast, the closest we can get is West Coast of the U.S. That's $50 US for the 2-day pass.
And what do I get? I get to watch shows?
You got to watch the 2 full days of shows.
What days
Friday and Saturday.
Coming up this week.
Yep.
Of Monsters or Men are playing.
The streams will be rebroadcast to be optimized to your nearest time zone. So for us, it would be Pacific time. Would be the nearest.
I'm doing it. It's weird, man. Do you ever have a thing bag milk? They're I've been to Iceland, very fortunate, and I think about it all the time. It's really weird. Like I'll find myself doing something and I'll zone out and I'll be like, man, there's that one restaurant that I really like that has that soup. Like, do you ever find yourself replaying stuff like that?
Yeah, all the time. Like, I mean, I ordered some Thai food a little while ago, and I got a pad Thai, and it was good, and it was great to shop local and everything. But it instantly sent me back to this little hole in the wall behind Khao San Road that had the best pad Thai I've ever had in my life. And it was probably 30 cents for it. So 100%, I completely get it. It's just sometimes something will trigger a memory that I lived through from wherever. And I'm like, oh man, that was a great time to be alive or eat or whatever.
One time when I was a little kid, I remember asking my grandpa, what do you do when you can't go to sleep at night? And he was like, oh, I try and replay my favorite places that I've visited and try and remember all the details I can.
That's cool.
I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, whatever. So for some reason, I always go back there in my head and think about going to the festival before I go to sleep.
And I'm looking through this, all the bands are Icelandic, right? There's not
That's why it's so cool. You haven't heard of any of it. It's like a whole different universe.
Well, because of COVID, this year's bill will be all Icelandic. But yeah, they bring in, it's probably 70% Icelandic groups and the 30% exports or imports, I should say.
Yeah. What kind of crowds are we talking? Normal year pre-pandemic?
2, 3, 4.
I think the festival gets 7,000 to 8,000 people that come for it or attend it. But what's happening is there's 10 to 15 venues going at any given time. So, the biggest venue will probably hold maybe 1,500 to 2,000, depending if because they'll have the biggest one will probably hold 2,000 when they have it at the big arena, when they do the big wrap-up concert.
My favorite venue is the Art Museum, and that's where all the hip-hop shows are. And there is a lot of Icelandic hip-hop, and it is very good. Very good. Yeah. Remchuk, where's your favorite place you've ever been?
Favorite place I've ever been? I've never left North America, right? So I don't have a lot of interesting travel stories or anything like that.
But where's your favorite place, though?
Putting me on the spot a little bit with this one. I don't know
if it can be your lake. It can be your auntie's cabin. It doesn't need to be far away to be your favorite.
Yeah. I don't know if I can just quickly answer that off
when
the
you
top
were
of my
a kid,
head.
Did you have a place all the your Remchucks would go and yell at each other in the country somewhere? Would you go on a regular trip? No.
Nope. When I was growing up, the one place we'd always go is to Panorama, that little resort by Invermere. We went there probably 6-7 times when I was a kid. So going there always brings back fond memories. I have a ton of great times with the family spent out there. So maybe I would say that, not that that's overly fascinating, but from my life, that was every summer you would go to Panorama. That was the exciting moment.
I still love going to Panorama, Yarmchuk. I love crushing mulled wine on the hill. I love drinking or whatever at the top, at the summit up there, the peak of the mountain. I love the gondolas. I love the walkability of that place. You drive there, you leave your car there and you don't see it until you have to leave.
And that's what I was going to say too, like growing up too, because it was such like a little mountain village. It was like, even when I was 8-9 years old, like my family would just, rent the condo or whatever. And then like you could walk around and do your own thing, right? Like me and my sister would just go out exploring and there was like not a care in the world. Like it's not like you could like go anywhere, like get lost. You're just roaming around this little tiny village area.
I got a little problem with Panorama. I love that place more than anything. It's where I spent my 40th birthday. Jay was talking about at the summit, at like the very peak of the mountain, they have this little bar. It's the coolest place in the world.
Yep.
We've hung there numerous times. They, for some reason, have no ice for your drinks, number one, for cocktails, and they only have like vodka. That's it. So all they serve is like coffee Baileys, shots of Jägermeister, vodka, and don't have any iced tea or like.
They're serving you booze at like 23,000 feet.
Is it that hard to get? We got kicked out of there because some celebrity was flying a helicopter to land up there to have a party up there. They can't fly a bag of ice up there. They can't continue. They can't.
What
put
celebrity?
We don't know.
Say.
They wouldn't tell
come
us.
on! You couldn't get them to spill.
They wouldn't say. We tried.
Bet you it was Timberlake.
We thought Bieber.
Really?
But like seriously, they serve this really nice like cedar. This like I don't even know what the hell it was. Jared was at apple cedar or something shit like that.
Are you saying cider?
Cider. Yes. Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh my god! Your check.
That
nice
goes
clip.
back to the great cider.
That's
debate
the
of
clip.
Summer.
He's saying cedar instead of cider.
When you were the one calling us drunk earlier.
Just a mistake, boys. Jeez, get over
The name of the podcast, your Chuck. Are you saying cider?
Okay, they had a nice apple cider, but I personally would like to sit up there and have a nice Ryan Coke or a nice vodka, maybe with some iced tea and some lemonade in it, the sun shining, top of the mountain, and I'm having to choke down awful drinks that I don't want, and warm beer. And it's just like, come on, man, that place has been around for like 30 years. How have they not figured out how to have proper hospitality up at the top of the mountain?
Wow, this is scathing.
Yeah.
What are you mad about?
1-star review from Chalmers.
You really don't like.
I quite enjoy the offering at the Summit Hut. The only thing that can be sometimes troublesome is that it's the hut itself is small, so sometimes ordering is a pain in the ass.
Why are you dissing your own happy place, Chalmers?
But that's
poisoning the well.
But it is. That's the thing. It's like one of my favorite places on earth, and I just. Like, it has one huge knock about it, and that's what they offer up there is not very good for drinking.
Well, I'm okay with the offering, and I've learned to adapt. So I go up there and I don't order just one drink; I order two.
Smart.
So I don't have to get up once and go through the ordering process, and I can really enjoy my time there.
Yeah, the only thing better than one of something I don't like is two.
Oh my god.
So okay. I had a really good transition for an ad read when you were talking about the fashion over in Iceland.
Oh boy, I'm ready for this.
I was gonna say,
I'm ready for this ad. I'm ready. Start it out. I got my part to say.
I was gonna say
this is gonna be great.
They're fashion forward.
Here we go.
Just like the folks.
Just do it. It's coming.
Set me up, your Chuck.
Knock it down, one.
I'm a little kid at T-ball. Start the ad.
Just
anytime.
I can mute you guys. Like, I can just mute you and do the whole ad read.
Fuck it. I'm wearing those underwear today.
You're wearing your nutsacks.
Right now.
There we go. twigandberries.ca. They are fashion forward. They are essentials for the modern day caveman. No judgment, no shaming, no fancy words. Just real men. Whether it's shirts, hoodies, socks, or as Wanye mentioned, their very own brand of nutsack underwear. Get it at twigandberries.ca. And get it for 15% off when you use the promo code NATION15. Hello.
Here we go. Here's my review of these underwear. They're great. Mm-hmm. First of all, they come in a cool pack, right? Like all zipped up or whatever. That's gangster, right?
A package for your package?
Well, I don't like the idea that underwear is on a shelf somewhere and people are pawing through it all willy-nilly prior to me buying them. I like them to be in a sterile environment. 2, they look very nice. I'm not an underwear model per se, just amateur, but I think they are quite nice. And knowing that they're local, that's pretty rad.
All right.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Unlike me, I like buying the boxers in the boxes that I know have been taken out and looked at and bundled, and then folded really poorly and put back in.
Okay.
Everybody's got it. We're not here to keep it.
Sounds like you could use twig and berries as well, Chalmers.
There's no reason at a store, a conventional store, that somebody hasn't tried on your underwear or t-shirt before you purchase them. It is genuinely a concern for me.
That's fair.
One of the things I love about wearing Nation gear, there are many things. One of them is I know no one's worn it prior.
Yeah.
That shit goes into the dressing room, man. You don't know what people are like. It's filthy. Gross.
Yep. This podcast has flown by. We've gotten off track plenty of times. For me, it has. I've been intrigued by the conversation. There's a stretch here from like the 16-minute mark to like 33-minute mark, I think, where I barely said a word. I was just sitting back listening to you guys. It was great.
We'll bring it back on the rails for a second, and then I want to share a story.
I want to bring it on the rails and talk a little bit about the news.
Is this what you've been mysteriously alluding to in the group
Well,
chat?
I don't want to play it up as a big thing, but it was something
But you
funny
do.
that happened that
You're
I
like, I have something to say. Maybe I have something to say. Ooh.
I don't want to play it up as like a big deal. Like, oh, guys, I got this. It's like this is something that happened to me that might be funny. But anyway, sure.
I think it is funny.
I want to get to this first, and I know Chalmers is going to have a hot take on this. The Dominik Kahun signing. Edmonton, again, Ken Holland doing the classic Ken Holland thing, going bargain bin shopping for a player who I think has some upside. Bag Milk, you are connected to Nation Citizens. What's kind of been the general feel on this move? Like, I don't see a reason to hate this.
There's nobody that hates it.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Is there's just nobody that hates it. Everybody likes it. It's a low cost gamble by Ken Holland again on a guy who, had 12 goals in 56 games. He's going to help somewhere in the lineup.
Is this the German chum for Leon?
Yeah, so
that's exactly right.
That
Marvelous.
connection right there makes it really, really interesting as well, because if there is that sort of natural chemistry between Kahun and Draisaitl, I think this is a contract that could...
Can you tell me about him, your M-Chuck, for those of us who don't know?
Yeah, like we kind of just said, from Germany, so we know our German friends will be big. Or he's from the Czech Republic, but he is German. He grew up with Leon Draisaitl. He's 25 years old. Our friend Nation Dan tweeted out their stats from when they played like bantam hockey together, and I'm going to pull them up because I don't want to get it wrong. Kahun and Draisaitl played together at the U16 program, and in their last year playing together with Mannheimer, they each played 30 games. Kahun had 69 goals and 137 assists.
Oh, 69.
And Draisaitl had 97 goals and 95 assists. Like, these guys...
97.
They combined for 400 points in 30 games. Like, if they are not going to do that in the NHL, not that you need me to tell you that, but if they can click here and the Oilers find like a top 6 winger for $975,000, who's an RFA at the end of the year, they keep his rights yet. This was an A+ contract.
This is Uncle Ken. He's doing
it. Allows you to move Nuge to the first line with McDavid.
Yeah.
That is worth its weight in gold. And what I like about this contract and what I like about Uncle Ken is we went after him like 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago or whatever the hell it was, and he wanted too much. So we sat back and waited. And Uncle Ken got him for the number we could afford.
Yeah,
and
that makes it great.
Like.
Yeah, and that's, again, a veteran GM like Ken Holland kind of doing what he does best.
Iron Pants Ken.
Is that
Uncle
his
Iron tucked into his iron wool socks.
Oh, nice look, Ken.
Wool iron socks, yeah. Steel wool socks.
Where is he right now? Probably this cabin, masterminding?
Yeah, he lives in BC, doesn't he? Isn't he like in... what's the place called? God damn it! How am I forgetting? With the V? No, it starts with a V. Vernon. I think he's up by Vernon. That's what I want to say. Anyways, not that that's relevant at all.
The interesting thing about this one, though, Tyler, before you move on, is like if we're being real, this was kind of on the table for a while, because if you go onto Reddit, somebody, like, I love the internet for this reason, because somebody on Reddit discovered that Dominik Kahun followed all of the Oilers' social media accounts about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, for real?
And everybody was kind of like, well, that could mean something.
You're a hell of an Oilers fan if you're picking that up.
Well, and that's my point. I love the internet. So I was looking at the thread this morning. He unfollowed the Sabres, where he played last, and refollowed the Oilers.
Once a Sabre, always a Sabre.
But what was funny about that was that when it got out, so it got out and it was like, oh, he just followed McDavid and the Oilers. And then like an hour later, if you went and checked, he unfollowed the Oilers. So clearly it was like probably shouldn't have done that right now. Like probably should wait till things are official. And then again, now he's re-following the Oilers. It's great.
Welcome to Edmonton, where we notice shit like that.
Yeah.
Imagine if he was only following them to see, like, maybe that would be the first place that it broke that they had signed. I don't know. Fucking, he's like looking for news or something that he realized, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a good play a good play of getting other teams maybe interested. Like, oh, the Oilers, like maybe the Oilers are interested in Kahun after all. And then all of a sudden, other teams come around, and get a little bit more of that sweet, sweet pandemic money.
Yeah. All right, Jay. Let's get to your story here. What's up?
Oh, this better be fun.
Here we go, buddy.
It
was like he was the underwear.
Hopefully don't trip up like Grimshark wanted to come up hot with the intro.
T-ball.
All right.
This is what happened.
Well, hang on. Before Jay says this is how this went in our group text. Tyler, every day on show day, says 1 o'clock today. This is what I got on the agenda. Then Jay says, I might have something to talk about. Then Tyler responds with, oh, interesting. Jay says, not really, but might be entertaining. So now I'm very excited. I've been sitting on this at 10:30.
The expectations are set.
I literally have wondered, Jay.
If it's good, I only look good. All right, are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Oh, God.
So let's take you back to the beginning. Pandemic hit. I'm drinking with my friends, socially distanced after going for a nature walk in the river valley. I hear for the 3 months leading up to that point, all my friends are buying Pelotons. And they're telling me, and they're all sharing their milestones, and everyone's so awesome. And going into the pandemic, I decided to join the party because I want to see how I could fare against my fellow friend in the game of Peloton. All right, stage is set. Mm-hmm. So this story is about the Peloton. So Chalmers, you're part of the group that owns a Peloton with us. You noticed you noticed our one friend. Doesn't matter if I say his nickname.
The protagonist of the Husky story.
Yes, the protagonist of the Husky story put a call to action saying, hey, we should do a live ride tomorrow. Being 7:30
a.m.
Yes. So what's happened is I joined the Peloton group and I pushed myself to kind of get to the higher level of the group because that was my motivation. And then, been going on throughout the summer. And now one of our other friends now is late to the party, just got a Peloton. And he is now, I don't know if you're paying attention, Charles, he is crushing us. So
Really?
He's come in late. He is now setting like crazy. He's beating all of our personal best now. And it's very annoying. So I tried earlier last week. He posted a 20-minute ride that he did. He posted his score or whatever, his output. I was like, holy shit. So I went home and I tried. It was only 20 minutes. And 15 minutes in, I was keeping up with him. And I just I was pushing myself so much. I started dry heaving. And I had to take it down a peg. And how I finished versus him, he crushed me by 30 points, which was insane. So we decided we're going to do a live ride. So we're going to do a live ride Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. So whatever, that's fine. So it's Friday night. I get home and we're kind of conversing and whatnot, talking about the ride. And all of a sudden, my one buddy, who lives in the States, I might add, sends a photo of him because a pizza got delivered to his door with a side of matzo sticks. So there's the three of us in our ride. So my one buddy sent him a giant pizza and some matzo sticks to crush the night before the ride. And I'm texting him oh my fucking God, that is so awesome. I'll send you money for that. That's great. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So whatever, I wait. 30 minutes later, my doorbell rings. I've got a pizza at the door with sides, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm starving. We're gonna go and get pho, have a light, kind of meal because all I want to focus on is hydration for tomorrow morning's ride. So pizza shows up. I'm exhausted from the week, vulnerable, starving. So I took this thing and I ate 7 slices. And I ate so much, and I went to bed, and I felt so sluggish all night, and I took a nap. And so in retort, once I heard my doorbell ring, I know my friend likes two things individually as dessert. He's got the biggest sweet tooth. He likes strawberry cheesecake and ice cream cake. So I sent him a Dairy Queen strawberry cheesecake ice cream cake to his door that he got at 8 p.m. So I tried to get it to him later so he could consume a bunch and have some weird, like, sugar hangover for the next morning.
A lot of dairy in there.
Yeah, a lot of dairy in there, but he only ate a quarter. He didn't give in as much as I thought. So we go and do our ride. So now we're in a live class, so you can see kind of how everyone's doing. And I'm keeping pace again. I get into 23 minutes of this, and I felt like shit all morning from this because I got up feeling like I just ate 2 pounds of cheese, which I did. And I get on the bike, and I lasted 22 and a half minutes. And I had to jump off the bike and throw up.
Oh.
So this whole, like, initially I thought it was such a innocent gag, actually worked.
Are there stakes on like this leaderboard you guys have running here? Because like, why the sabotage? Is it just bragging rights for life?
Well, it's your buddies, right? So you always want to, like you always want to fuck with one another, right? You do like fantasy football, you chirp each other, you do all these other things to chirp each other. Well, now the Peloton is like the healthier mechanism of creating something to compete at, to chirp each other at. So
I don't know if anybody that has never tried a Peloton, but let me just give you a quick overview of this thing. They're hard as hell. And to keep up with these guys, you have to be going for 30 straight minutes. And if you've ever biked up a hill that was like 30 seconds long, you're dying by the end of it. And so to have to do that for like 20 to 30 minutes, regardless of what the ride is, it's the hardest output on an exercise I've ever felt. And I'm not even close to them. And so I understand how, because we had one buddy for a long time, the guy who sent all the pizzas, he was the only one that had one for like a good year. And we would see his totals, and he was like 66th, 50th of like 10,000 people. Like, he dominated. He was in like the top 1%. And then another buddy got it, and he kind of gradually got close to him. And then JR got his, and JR was passing him. And then the guy that we just said that just got one is now, you're saying that he's crushing you, JR. Like, they're in the top, like, faction of people who are riding these things. And when you're that high and it's hard to make gains on that, you have to work your ass off. And it's like really, really hard. And so, JR, you dry heave almost every time, do you not?
Sometimes, yeah. It's a lot less, but I'm not.
This is full on puke, eh?
Oh, plus, this was just mental. Well, that's the thing. The competition's back, so I'm like, fuck it. I don't care if I'm going to die. Like, my mindset is, I am going at this level.
In a
my
world
body
with
wasn't
not a
ready
lot
for me, and I was full with a fucking giant pepperoni pizza in me.
In a world with not a lot of things to compete at anymore, I mean, I think that's pretty much what the stakes are. You know, this is the one thing we still have that we can compete with. We don't have to be around each other to do it, and it's like, you know, got to get those juices going.
Of course, but I just want to highlight the move that our buddy's sending us pizza the night
Pretty next
before.
level.
That's good.
Oh,
it's like icing.
It was great. And then for me, if I really wanted to shove it in his face, I only would have had 2 slices. But I fucking caved. I took the bait and I crushed almost the whole pizza.
Has to be done.
Oh God, yeah, that was a rough Saturday morning, and I didn't even touch a drink. That was embarrassing.
Sometimes you got to crash a pizza, man. I feel for you.
Yeah, but just don't hop on a bike within like 9 hours of doing that and exert yourself like I did. Plan your life accordingly.
Chalmers, are you getting gas?
No, I just park at the gas pumps. I don't know why.
Are you getting a Slurpee, Charlesy?
Well, I'm at a Shell, and they don't have the best ones, so probably not.
I'm excited to see what kind of snack he picks up from.
Oh, he's going right for the Red Bull. Oh, he's just playing.
Take this out.
Back.
Thank you.
Don't tell Aaron Chalmers that Chris Chalmers is having a Red Bull.
I didn't get one.
Are you walking to the bathroom at the Shell? You can hang up if you're doing that.
You can't get this kind of live action on the 96th Best Podcast.
No, I was literally going to buy a drink, but you guys are making me talk. I thought I could just put it on mute, and there's people in there. I don't want to be talking around it.
So you do the sketchiest thing to do. The sketchiest thing you can do at a convenience store is walk in, open a couple fridge doors, and then walk right back out.
When you go into as many convenience stores as I do, that kind of stuff doesn't faze a guy like me anymore.
Fair enough.
But like the interesting thing about this though for me, Chalmers, is that you're worried about consuming chocolate bars, but you were going in for, I assume, some kind of sugary drink in there.
Yeah, I don't know what I want. I went to look at the Slurpees and they're not good. They have half the machines working. It's a mess. So I don't know what to do now.
Okay, before we wrap up the podcast, and we only got like 5 more minutes, I wanted to talk about the Big Brother finale because we didn't get to it last week.
Previously on Big Brother.
Cody wins 9-0. It's rather anticlimactic because he beasted his way through the final competition against Nicole as well. The only funny part, and funny maybe isn't the right word, but Nicole was so surprised that he didn't take her. Like that to me was like, how I know when you're in the house, like, you know, your mind gets a little bit thrown around a bit and your perception of things is different than us watching at home. But like, how could you not sit there and be like, you know what? I doubt Cody wants to take a former winner. He probably wants to take the guy who he kind of carried through most of the season.
Yeah, that was...
The annoying part is people had plenty of opportunity, like, and I've been saying it for 3-4 weeks now. Yeah. People had the opportunity to bump Cody or try and at least take a swing for weeks, and he just managed to beast his way through everything, and it didn't bother anyone until they ended up in the jury house.
Well, it just felt like everyone would always be like, man, Cody is playing a great game right now, but they just liked him so much, and they were like, oh, well, he's probably on my side. Like, he's a weapon for me, not a weapon against me. And throughout the game, everyone, it just felt like it was focused on making it to kind of like the final 3, final 4, and not enough people were focused on actually winning the game. Whereas Cody was able to just like, it was a perfect season by him. He beasted his way through it, played a nearly perfect social game. The only person he didn't get along with was Kevin. Like, he beasted that season. And for an all-star season, I think it kind of, you know, cements him as one of the best Big Brother players ever, because that was just dominant.
I agree.
It was his game to lose, so boring. To me, the most entertaining.
So boring.
It was incredibly boring. It was awful. But the most entertaining part of finale night was Enzo pacing around the room as he was doing his final speech that just made no sense. Like it was
planned out in his head, but it did not work one bit.
I think the yo count was like 130.
Oh yeah.
Do you know why I think Cody is the best Big Brother player to ever play the game? Not only did he win it, ever play. And I'll tell you why. Because not only did he win 9-0 against Enzo, and it was what we all thought it was like, was what I thought it was going to be. But he now is the only person in Big Brother history to ever have won the final 2 and been the one that gets to decide who they're going to take.
Yeah.
In the first one, he took his ride or die, the person he had been loyal to. If there's anything that you can say about that, it's that you can fault him for being loyal. But he knew if he took Victoria, he was going to win. But if he took Derek, it was going to be 50-50, and Derek won. But he made the right choice in that, even in losing. Now, in this exact same one, he had the exact same decision. I believe that he had a better chance of winning against Enzo, but I think he had less of a chance winning against Enzo than he did winning against Nicole. And he chose loyalty again, and twice. He got to go to the final 2, pick who he was going to sit up against. That has never happened. And like, if that's controlling your own destiny, if it's not, I don't know what is. And that, to me, is why he's literally the best ever. And to do it without sitting on the block once.
Yeah.
Well, we get it, Chalmers. You're in love with Cody.
I am. Absolutely. 100%.
Cody, like...
Dr. Will is a far superior player.
Cody is good,
he's
but
just frightful looking.
Cody is good. I will give you that. He got to the final 2 twice. He was in the position both times to pick his dance partner. You're right. He should have took Victoria that one year, but he stuck with his ride or die. He knew he had a better chance with Enzo versus Nicole because he said he wasn't going to make that same mistake twice. But there was no drama. Like the greats are the ones that are fucked and backed and have no chance of surviving, but somehow squeak through that week, like Dan's funeral, or like Evil Dick for like, you know, if he would have played the way he plays, that like now probably wouldn't pass, but like that guy was on everyone's target week after week after week, and he would do things to skirt that and create circumstances to flip to the attention of other people. Like those to me are those are the types of players I kind of like, because that means the season had drama. Like for Cody to win, that was boring. Like, yeah, he was a comp beast. He won. Like, that's the thing. He won a bunch. His social game was good. The fact no one would kind of pull their head back and be like, whoa, actually, we should start, you know, acknowledging him as like the target and being the ultimate threat, because no one can beat him in a final two situation. But like, it's just the season was boring, and he's the winner of a boring season. So that to me has like a negative like look on it. But yeah, he is a good player.
It's not him that made it boring. You're looking at it on a whole when you're not just. He played the game that was presented to him. He didn't make the show.
I know.
He didn't make the show boring.
I'm not
the fact
saying
that
I'm
nobody
right.
wanted to have confrontation is not his fault.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I personally like the players that are back in the corner or rise from the ashes because their fate is sealed, as if they're going out of the house and somehow they staying up along the ride to win.
I like circuses of people who don't know how to play the game, and there's so much drama. They never make All-Stars.
Like that's
you're not wrong, Chalmers.
That's the part of this season that like it was so disappointing that David was one of the most entertaining parts of the season.
Yeah.
He had no chance of winning, but when he left, it was kind of like I was sad
unflavored ice cream.
Yeah, because at least he was a wild card. He'd do weird shit all the time, and like at least it was fun to watch. I would say like a guy like Paul is arguably deserves to be in a conversation of one of the better players. He made back-to-back final twos, and I would argue he probably should have won both of those. But I just think that Cody had such an easy way through this year. For an All-Stars cast, they did not play like All-Stars.
Well, and I think that's just, we've all touched on it now. It makes me, watching this season makes me more excited for, you know, Big Brother Canada and the next Big Brother USA, because, you know, no more returning players. Like, let's just shelve that for a couple of years here. Like, I get the novelty of it. It's fun. But let's get some mayhem going. Let's get some vintage Big Brother. Because I think you talked about Evil Dick and compared him to Cody. To me, that's like comparing Gordie Howe and Connor McDavid kind of, right? Like, Gordie Howe, rough, elbows, all that stuff. That's the way he played back in the day. Well, it's totally, like, him and Connor McDavid, both great players, but did it just a totally different way and are sort of products of the environment, right? Evil Dick could do that shit in past seasons because that stuff was allowed and the game was totally different. It's almost like Big Brother has evolved, and especially in an all-star season where everyone is so good and so hyper aware of how the game is played that you can't just like be an asshole and win. Like, you need to be super conscious of, like, you know, everyone's feelings and shit. It's the game softened a bit.
I don't want to watch good tactical Big Brother play. I want to watch a circus.
Yeah, which some people say that about hockey too, right? Like, sometimes you don't want to watch the perfect hockey team play. It's why I said this on a past episode of the podcast. It's why, like, the World Juniors are so exciting, because it's going to be 6-5. It's going to be mayhem. There's mistakes everywhere. Like, that's what makes it fun. I think it's the same for Big Brother. People fucking up, people making mistakes, people getting in over their heads. That makes it fun.
I did like, again, though, to be fair, I did like watching Enzo's meltdown after he lost out in the final HOH, where he just starts storming around. Like, I'm gone, man. I'm gone, man. You two, you go. I'm out. Final three, whatever, man. And like, that was the best.
Yeah, that was interesting. I thought that right there might have sealed his fate, or he should have almost played that up as like a game move. Like, yeah, I wanted to bring as much pity on myself so one of them would take me, kind of thing, but he didn't. That was a very meltdown.
Unmemorable season of Big Brother.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was. I was waiting for it to end. So, like, that's not a great season of Big Brother when you're just riding it out to see.
Wow, but no, I felt though like I watched a recording of it, and I watched like the last three and then that one, so I spent a good chunk of time. And normally Big Brother segues you beautifully into the hockey season.
Yeah.
And now, nada.
Nothing going on. Got the Masters coming up though, and still football. But other than that, the sports calendar, the Masters is coming up.
How are we doing our pick'em this year?
Okay, well,
Bills let me down.
Yeah, I don't think we had a very good run in our pick'em.
I was right.
Oh yeah.
Can you go back and tell me more? They're playing the Masters.
Yeah, the Masters is in like 10 days, I think. It starts not this weekend, but next Thursday.
The tradition of it all has been besmirched.
Yeah, a little bit. It's weird. It's odd timing. I'll still get into it, but it doesn't feel the same. Our NFL pick'em this week. Bag Milk, you still got Tampa minus 12.5 going tonight, but the Bills let down Jay. The Packers let me down. Seahawks, Chalmers, you nailed that. Our friend Scott Hastings, he had Atlanta plus 2.5 on the Thursday nighter, nailed it. LA Denver, he had the over, he nailed it. And Tampa Bay minus 12.5, he is tonight as well. So we'll get to that more on Thursday when we're joined by our gambling expert, Scott Hastings. But until then, I think that's going to do it for another podcast. This podcast here was kind of peak real life. There was a lot of nonsense.
Hold on, before you close it out, Jay, I had a cheddar chip dip and a bag of chips sitting in front of me this entire time. And I didn't eat it. You know why? Because you can't tell me how I live. I'll live how I live. You live how you live. I'm going to be ready to eat this cheese when I'm done.
Now, crush all of that and then go for a run in 2 hours. And see how you feel.
I can't wait. Cheerio, kids.
All right, that's going to do it. Episode 227 of the Real Life Podcast, brought to you by Twig and Berries. Use the promo code NATION15 at checkout. You save 15%, whether it's for you or the special man in your life. twigandberries.ca, good local company. And our friends at Oodle Noodle. 10% of all in-store proceeds go towards a local charity. Have a good week. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Episode 227 of the Real Life Podcast is over.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.